Okay, hey, what's up? It's Carter. So I took my 10th shot of testosterone yesterday. My T day was November 16th, 2019. Today is very, very, very early, January 25th, 2020. I couldn't sleep. I was on the phone with my home dog. Um, and she was like, you know, you should just try doing something productive, until you can fall back asleep. So I was like, maybe I'll go to the gym, Uh, didn't feel like it. I've yet to go to the gym since I've started T, but hey, everybody's a beach body if you're on the beach. So just like after a while, guys start making more videos about themselves and less about their transition. And I also think that's really cool because like at the end of the day, this is about us. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it's cool when you're first starting. Like, hey, these are these like awesome changes that are happening, and it's like super cool. But after a while, it's like, yo, here's what it's like to actually like live and exist as a man. Like, here are the good things, here are the bad things, here are the privileges I get, here are the things I don't get, here are the things I do. This is halfway an update, but also just like things that I think are interesting when you think about um, men, right? Or like when I think about men, I don't know how you think about men. Like me and cis men have never gotten along. It's always like very contentious. Like, oh no, are they gonna beat me up? Like that's my first thought every time I see like large, muscly men. Well, that's my first thought, and then my second thought is, oh my gosh, is that a bear? Can I be a bear cub? Please make me your bear cub. But other than those two thoughts, so for the past couple weeks, I've been noticing, and there was a period of time, like I said, that I missed a dose. And during that week, I was so calm. I was so zen. Like everything felt so chill. Before that, before I had missed my dose, I was so aggressive towards people that didn't deserve it. Like my best friends, for instance. We were all sitting, we were in my mom's apartment while I was home, and my mom kept asking me to do certain things while I was about to go hang out with my friends. Like we were going to go to the mall or something, I don't know. Not even important, just like getting upset over the smallest things. And my mom was like, can you pick up this? Can you pick up your clothes? Can you pick up your shoes? Like, straighten up the house. And at a certain point, like I was just like tired of, like I was like, oh, I just want to leave, get out of here. And I looked to my best friend. I asked her a question, and she, like, was like, "Didn't your mom ask you to do something? Shouldn't you like go up and like get up and like go do that?" And I just snapped. And I don't know why. I'm usually the most patient, like calm person in the world. Like it's the most insane thing ever. Like I literally would never want to hurt a fly. You know what I'm saying? But immediately it was like, what do you mean? How dare you tell me what to do? Like, whoa, like, like calm down, like, like get out of my face. And she was like, I just didn't want you to get in trouble. And I'm like, no, like what, bro, like you gotta chill out. Like leave me the F alone. Like da 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 da. Like it wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? Like it really wasn't. And I noticed like a lot of like that pattern forming. And I think it's really important to, when you notice those things, like um, try to find ways to like combat that kind of aggression. You know what I'm saying? Because men don't need to be inherently aggressive. No one needs to be inherently aggressive. Um, but least of all, in my particular opinion, the people who have like the the strength necessary to actually do things with that, if that makes sense. Like my mom and I would always get into it when we were younger about whether or not it was okay for my brother and I to, like, when siblings fight, like when we were real small, we would always get into like little spats, little tiffs. And my mom would always like tell my brother, hit them back, hit them back. And I would always like, and even at a young age, I was an activist. Like my mom's a psychologist. So like we were always allowed to kind of like argue back with her, kind of like when your mom's a lawyer, like similar thing, like kind of allowed to like state your point, state your case, defend it. So like even when I was younger, I was like, no, mom, I don't think that's okay. I don't think men should ever be allowed to. And at the time, I don't think men should ever be allowed to hit women, et cetera, et cetera. Like, he's like stronger than me now, because like this is when around the time my brother was hitting puberty. She's like, like he's stronger than me now. She's like, no, I think if someone hits you, no matter who it is, you should hit them back. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's right. I think at the most you can like pick someone up and move them and stop them from like attacking you. Um, it in relationships, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying if an attacker comes up to you on the street, don't stab him in the face. Like, stab that dude in the face. If someone's like attacking on the street, pull out your pepper spray and go at it, obviously. But I'm saying like in like, when it comes to like intimate partner violence or family members, friends, things like that, in close relationships, no, I don't think anyone should be beating up on anyone ever, ever, ever. I'm a pacifist. I don't. That's also the weird thing about the aggression, because I've always been a pacifist, like self-proclaimed like pacifist. So, but yeah, I'm always like, mom, I don't think that's okay. Like, and maybe a part of me, like as a kid, was just saying this so like he wouldn't hit me back. You know what I mean? Because like he's bigger than me and stronger than me. But also it's just like I don't think it's okay when you're in a place of power or a place of privilege to like use and abuse that privilege in a way that hurts and harms other people. I don't think it's ever okay. I think if you have a certain amount of privilege, you should be using it in all the best ways possible that you can to ensure, like, that people aren't being mistreated, Like, and not saying use your privilege to step over people or talk over people or anything like that. Like, I'm not saying if you're a man, you just walk into a room full of women, like, I'm here to save you. Please no one do that. Please nobody do that. But when people ask you for help, like when people come to you and ask, if you have the emotional energy and stability and you have the bandwidth, you should try to help when you can, Obviously, if you see things that are happening on the street and you have, and you're, maybe a little taller, maybe a little stronger, and you can step in and like keep someone from getting hurt in a way that's, I want to qualify all my statements by saying like this should always, like, there's exceptions to every rule and everyone should like, be mindful of different scenarios and like what they're doing. Obviously, don't talk over your coworker who's a woman and like step into the room and it's like, hey, everyone listen to her. It's like, whoa, I totally could have done that myself. But like if someone's like getting like legit like assaulted in some way, or someone's getting harassed or something like that, and someone's like looking to you saying like, when people do that look around, that, oh gosh, someone help me please, like that. I live in New York and this isn't me saying I live in New York, I don't. I'm saying in the situation, I think a lot of people, when I think of this situation, I often think of subways, because I think that's the most like one of the most obvious forms of like misogyny is like the way people treat women and non-binary people and queer people and just minorities in general on public transit, because it's one of those spaces where it's like it's confined enough to where you can kind of cage and trap someone in. It's like when men on the subway expose themselves, right? Like it's like you're forcing someone into a small space with you to where they cannot get out, to where they can't leave for X amount of time while the subway car is moving, while the train is moving, whatever it is, a bus. And you're forcing them to be privy to information that no one needs or wants. Like, and it's a very, very obvious form of like the ways we care and don't about specific minorities. But when people do that look around, like it's like that like I live in New York and I'm on a subway and there's a man doing a thing next to me that he shouldn't be doing. Look around, type, hey, someone please step in because I don't want to be seeing what I'm seeing. Or I don't want this person talking to me the way they're talking to me. And I think in those situations, it's definitely um, helpful to be like mindful and self-aware of the ways in which you can help when that help is requested. Um, and that's something that I've never had the ability, or I don't know if it's a privilege. I wouldn't call it a privilege that people are being harmed. Um, but like it's something I've never really had the courage to do before. Um, yeah, now I'm about to cry. Um, yeah, I think that's a perfect way to describe it, at least for me. It's something I've never had the courage to do before. It's something that because I'm not the tallest. I'm certainly not the strongest. I have noodle arms even still. Um, and yeah, like I'm 5'6". I've never really I've usually been the person on the receiving end of said amount of, you know, whatever harm on, you know, whatever level, whether it's like harassment on the street or whatever it is. I've usually been on the receiving end. I don't think I've ever been on the I can give in a way that I can put my body on the line or my voice or my reputation or something like that on the line for someone else that was um, gendered in like a more binary way, because I put my voice and my life and my body on the line all the time when it comes to my queer identity, my sexuality. I mean, not my gender. When it comes to like just standing up for just things that are related to pride and things like that in general. Um, Whether it's telling people about, um, you know, like the ways in which pronouns are important, or the ways like it's not okay to immediately judge a book by its cover just because they look or sound different than you. And I started like a poetry collective at my school, and there's a lot of like queer people, and like minorities in the group, and we often, you know, like perform around the city and we talk about a lot of really important issues. So like I love being an activist in so many ways, every way I can. Like I said, like ever since I was little, I'm stating my case, trying to like, you know, um, do like whatever I can to help people. But I've never found the the courage to put um, or not that I've been in a situation where where I've already done this, but I've never found the courage to even have that bandwidth. That I'm gonna create a term right now: physical bandwidth. So if when people usually use the term bandwidth, at least I use it in the term of like mental health and like the capacity to which you have to deal with certain situations at a certain time, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's your own emotions, having the bandwidth to deal with certain people, certain things, certain places at certain times. Physical bandwidth, this term that I just now created, is having a certain amount of, how do I describe it? In my own experience of, again, I didn't like bulk up and become super strong, but I don't know, maybe it's like a, and I don't want to say this in like a, taking testosterone made me become a protector type way. I don't mean that, but I mean in the sense that when people look at you, when people don't automatically code you as a woman, I think they give you more leeway automatically. And that's what I mean by physical bandwidth, like actual physical characteristics, whether that's a certain amount of muscle, whether that's a beard, whether that's a short haircut. And that this extends to mask presenting people in general. Like this extends even to lesbians with short haircuts. This extends to butch women. This extends to butch guys. This extends to guys who are trade. Like, just masc presenting people in general, like, we in our society just give more privileges to masculinity, and masc presenting people and people who embody characteristics that we like look up to for whatever reason, that you don't, whether they're inherently, and I put this in quotes, inherently a masculine or feminine trait, we, hype those up. But I'm gonna, with this term that I created, I'm saying like there's certain things, certain physical characteristics that give you the bandwidth, and by bandwidth I mean the capacity to react to certain situations how you want to react, in ways that it wouldn't necessarily give someone with longer hair, with more feminine traits, with things like that, the bandwidth to do those things. Like when you're on the street and you're being harassed, you don't necessarily want to be the person who turns around, says something back, and then is never seen again. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody, like, you have to be strategic in those scenarios. But oftentimes men don't have to think about, like, the more and more like I look more like a cis man, the less I have to think about those situations. And it's really, really crappy. Fuck crappy. It's really shitty. It's really shitty that people are put into those positions and scenarios in the first place just because of how they look. So that's what I mean by physical bandwidth, certain physical characteristics that give you the capacity to react how you want to in a scenario. Like if someone, like hits on you and you turn around and you're like, yo bro, chill the fuck out type beat. It's much less likely that you're going to be attacked in the same way that a stereotypically feminine woman might. Do you know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's given me the courage and the physical bandwidth to be more self-aware and kind of like notice the ways that I either contribute to harm or help, and like contribute to said harm or can help when asked. So yeah, like when it comes to with my friend the other day, my two best friends, neither one of them, they didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve me turning around and just snapping on them for any reason, but I hope that maybe I can like balance my good karma with my bad, and like, continue to write poetry, continue to tell my own story, continue to talk about my own transition, continue to talk about the ways that I try to keep myself in check, and keep toxic masculinity within myself and my peers in check. And hopefully, hopefully I'm trying to make the good outweigh the bad. So yeah, that was my honest corner, for the day. I just moved recently. I'm in my new room. My bed is now in the corner of the room. And this is my corner. This is my corner of honesty. 10 weeks, 10 needles, 10 syringes, 10 draws back in the needle. That was the testosterone filling the syringe. Been 10 of those. And yeah, this was my honest corner. My name is Carter. Hope you all have a great day.